You just signed a brand new social media management client and you're thrilled to work with them, but what is next? This is what we call an onboarding process. Now, when I first started out, I had absolutely no clue what an onboarding process was, let alone have one. But today I'm sharing my 2025 onboarding process with you so that you can smoothly transition clients into your business and look like a pro. Hey, my name is Mil and I own a $500,000 social media marketing agency, and I now help social media managers like yourself build an extremely successful social media management business in this industry. So let's dive in. Now, the first part of your onboarding process is to collect your client's information. Now, we do this through a form inside of ClickUp because my entire agency is built out in ClickUp. Here's what that looks like, where we ask for their name, their mailing address, for things like marketing or gifting. We ask for their brand guidelines, any assets, logo files, all of the stuff we need to get started. Now, if you don't use a more pricey software like ClickUp, what you can do is you can create a very similar form for yourself inside of Google Doc, where people upload things and share things with you as a free alternative. But the point here is that you are collecting all the assets you need from a client to start working on their social media accounts. We collect this information before I hop on an onboarding call with them so that I can actually address if there's anything missing, if I need more from them, as I review all the items that they upload. Now, my project manager, and in this case, it might just be you, will upload all of these brand assets inside of their design tool using Adobe Express. So inside of my agency, we use Adobe Express and create a brand kit for each client. Now we can take their branding, their guidelines, their logo files, their fonts, all of that good stuff inside of a brand kit so that we have everything we need once we actually start designing and creating their social media content. So within my agency, my graphic designer will refer back to the brand kit when designing stuff, creating the social templates. Now, here is the catch when onboarding clients and where AI comes in from the jump. Most clients don't have many brand assets, and that is the biggest struggle that social media managers have, where the client doesn't have any assets to provide you to have something to design and work with. So this brings me into the next step of our onboarding process, where I will create the brand assets for the client using Adobe Firefly AI. Now, this is a completely separate tool from Adobe Express. They work in tandem when you start creating AI-generated custom assets. Now, this is much better than it may seem, and I will walk you through a step-by-step on how you can use Adobe Firefly to create those assets, to make them on brand and completely custom for your client, which is so much better than having a stock library. Okay, so now I'm inside of Adobe Firefly and it will ask you to describe the image you want to generate. So recently, for a client that was in the marketing industry, ads specifically, I would ask to generate images of a laptop standing on a desk, just to start out with. It's a very simple, basic prompt, but you will see that Adobe Firefly can create the most beautiful custom images. Now, this is a more simple one that will pop up. And so what you can do here is you can change the aspect ratio to portrait, because that's obviously what we use for social media mainly. And then I can go down in the settings. I can even upload a reference of images that I already liked so that it can create similar images. And it can even go as far as saying, I want this kind of lighting. So let's say we want to choose studio lighting and we want it to be a close-up, for example. Now, I want it to be a bit more specific, as I used a very general prompt. So let's say I will add generate image of a laptop standing on a desk with navy, blue, and gold elements. So let's say this is part of my client's branding. I can add little things like that. And now you'll see that you actually create a super beautiful gold navy element. So if those are brand colors for this client, you can use this, you can upscale the image and then use it in high resolution. Now, there's no way that any stock library can mimic such high quality images. And even if you see see the results, you're like, it's not quite there yet. I wanted to generate other images. You can hit rerun and it will generate even more images. But you see how little time this cost me to create some super beautiful images that I could use for this client with these specific colors. Now, I would recommend for you to play around with this and see what you like. But once you find images that are a good fit, you can open it inside of Adobe Express and immediately start editing it and working with it. So this is obviously super helpful because Adobe Express and Adobe Firefly AI just work together so seamlessly. So you already have this image here. Now, let's say using this for an Instagram story, you might be like, well, shoot, what do I do now, right? This is where AI comes in again, because I will simply resize this into an Instagram story. You will see it automatically uses Adobe AI Expand to generate a full-sized Instagram story image. Now, I can generate more, of course, to get more results. And as someone who has used AI in a ton of different tools, I can tell you that Adobe's AI is one of the best AI out there. And so I'm going to say keep, and I can use this now as an Instagram story. I can shift it back and forth, and you can resize this into any image or marketing size you need. I have used this for myself on the Elite Social Society sales page, where you'll see a big banner of me that I used AI for to turn it actually into a landscape banner, since it was originally a portrait size. So this is how you can create a ton of on-brand images for your clients in the onboarding process, so that you don't have to request a ton of images on the first round of content. Now, from here on, we hook up clients to all of our third-party software we use. Now, there are two main tools that you want to hook a client up to, and that is A, a social media scheduler, and B, ManyChat. Now, for social media scheduler, I would recommend Cloud Campaign, and I will drop my link and discount code in the comments below so that you can check out their free trial. But you would want to use a scheduler for, of course, scheduling content once you're ready to do that. But B, you need analytics reports. Now, of course, Meta, Business Suite, and other platforms will give you analytics, but it doesn't give you proper reporting to, again, look like a pro in front of your client and send them or export super seamlessly a report inside of your scheduler. And two, this would be ManyChat, and this is what we use for Instagram and Facebook to hook up their accounts and automate some of their engagement. Now again, ManyChat uses a ton of AI to make it easier to navigate conversations, especially if a client has a larger account and there's a ton of comments. Of course, it will be tough for you as a social media manager to respond to everything. So this is where ManyChat comes in. Now, typically speaking, if you want to hook up a client to your third-party software, you will need to be an admin of typically their Facebook account, whether you're using ManyChat, Instagram, or One Analytics to Facebook. You need to be an admin of that account. We see that similarly with platforms like LinkedIn, and TikTok has its own login that you can use within the third-party scheduler. But this is important to do on your onboarding call that you will have after they fill out the onboarding form in the first step. Now, once I hook all of this up, I've set up the brand kits, I've generated images that the team can use or you can use. You will now make sure that you are fully logged in. And if you have team members, make sure everyone's fully logged in so that you can start working on their content calendar, right? You will put together a plan to show the client how you're going to approach their social media accounts. Now, if you want a full outline on strategy, I do have a separate video that will explain step by step how to create a strategy. And we've even launched the Elite social media strategy template that you can shop so that you can just simply plug and play and again, look like a pro in front of your clients. Now, this will wrap up the onboarding workflow we use using AI tools inside of the 2025 workflow. This onboarding workflow takes anywhere from 4 to 6 months actually before we start posting to the account, because there's so much that we have to work on before we get approvals from the content calendar and have everything ready to roll for the clients. So keep that in mind when you're onboarding a new client, that you need an onboarding process that takes a little bit of time before you start posting for a client, because a lot of clients will think, oh, you know, you're going to start posting right away. Or when do you start posting, right? Is that question that every client will ask. So make sure you prepare them ahead of time and onboard them properly so that you can set them up for success. Now, if you found this video helpful, make sure you like it. If you have any questions about it, drop a comment below and I will see you in next week's video.